Hello friends, it's Emily from Weaverville Methodist. We are going to do Sunday school today on this video, and today we're going to talk about a story about a guy named Barnabus. So this is a picture of the city of Jerusalem, and this is a current picture. You can see some of the bigger buildings in the background, but this is a city where some of the stories from the Bible came from, and this was a city that Jesus and his disciples were in, and this story will take place in the city of Jerusalem. Time period of this story takes place after Jesus has been on the cross and then after he has gone up to heaven. And the disciples are hanging out together and also telling people about Jesus. They're like, you won't believe this story. Because some people had not heard about Jesus or had not met him, and they didn't know the deal. So the disciples were making this story known to everybody. The people during this time who were excited about the stories of Jesus and the love of God, they were like forming their own family. Pretty cool. It was like a family of God. So you know how you may help out your family sometimes? Like maybe you help clean out the dishwasher, or maybe you help walk the dog, or you help by getting yourself dressed in the mornings. Well, that's how we help out our family. And this family of God was helping each other out by like making sure everybody was fed. If anybody needed anything, the neighbor would help bring something over. Or if you had no shirts and I had two shirts, and I would give you one of my shirts. They were like a family who was always helping each other out, and they were united. They tried really hard not to disagree with each other. It was like the coolest family. Well, Barnabus is this fella, Barnabas, whose name was Joe, but nicknamed Barnabas. Barnabas was a part of this unity, this family of God. He's part of the family of God in this story because he is called like the great encourager. Okay, he helped people out. He made sure that everybody was taken care of. He was always helping, like, oh, you don't have any shirts? Well, guess what? I heard that the person 2 doors down, they do have shirts. You go on over there and they'll help you out. He was kind of helping organize that kind of stuff. These are some pictures of what people thought Barnabas may have looked like. And so Barnabas was helping out the disciples. So he was going like, all right, guys, I know tomorrow you got to go and tell more people about Jesus and the love of God. Does everybody have their water bottles? Are the water bottles filled up? He was kind of helping organize their stuff, and just a real good friend to have, looking out for the disciples and helping them out. Have you ever been encouraged before? Has anybody ever told you did a good job, or given you a high five, or clapped for you when you played a song or ran a race or something like that? Or maybe you've just gotten a hug from somebody before. What does it feel like to be encouraged? It's a pretty good feeling. Pause this video and talk to the people you're sitting beside about a time when you felt encouraged. So Barnabas' name means to encourage. Now, let's talk about this old nasty guy named Saul. Saul, he did not like people who followed Jesus. He did not like people who talked about Jesus. He didn't like people who loved Jesus. What was his problem? He had a bad attitude. Maybe he needed to take a time out. But Saul was nasty. He would like yell at people. Oh, I know you're a Jesus follower. There he is. He would make them feel bad. Some people he would kick them out of town. Some people Saul would put in jail. And some people who followed Jesus, he would hurt them. Saul was not a nice guy. He did not like people who followed Jesus. And he was like, oh, I heard about this town named Damascus. I'm going to go on down to Damascus. There's a bunch of Jesus followers down there, and I'm going to get them. So he's on his way to Damascus. He's thinking up all kinds of things he's going to do to these people who are Jesus followers. And Jesus appears. And he blinds Saul with like a light. You ever looked up at the sun and it's so bright you can't see? That's what it was like. It was like that for Saul, and it blinded him. And Jesus was like, Saul, what are you doing? Why are you talking so bad about me? Anyway, Saul ended up being blind for several days. He came to know Jesus, and then he changed. So when Saul meets Jesus, Jesus changes his heart. And he goes, oh, look, I'm not bad. I'm not a bad, you need to learn a little bit more about me. You need You need to hear about why I came to this world in the first place. And Saul was like, whoa, I get it now. And he got why Jesus came to teach people that the love of God is for everybody and not just a few. And he taught people that even if you're different, that you can still like them. And it blew his mind. And so what happened is Saul had his heart changed by Jesus. And he stopped being bad. And then he changed his name. He changed his name to Paul. And then he was like a total follower of Jesus. What a cool story. Well, Paul knew that the disciples were buddies of Jesus. And he was like, I got to be a part of that group. So he goes and he's like, hey, disciples, can you let me join your group? Because I am also now a follower of Jesus. Can I join your group? Can I travel with you? Can I help? And the disciples were like, you mean you're Paul, but you used to be Saul? You mean that guy? His followers out of town and putting him in jail and hurting him? You're that guy? We can't have this guy be a part of our group. He used to hate Jesus people. You were a bad fella. And then Barnabas goes, okay, guys, listen. Because Barnabas is the great encourager and supporter. Barnabas says, yes, if Jesus has changed his heart, then who are we to judge him now? We should let him join our group. And the disciples were like, okay, Barnabas, we trust you. If you think that's what we need to do, we will do it. And so they're like, come on in, Paul. And Paul ends up being like, he writes a bunch of more books that are in the Bible, or there's stories in the Bible about Paul and about how he changes people's lives and he helps to build the church. And Paul turns out to be this like huge teacher about Jesus and God's love. So think about what it feels like to be encouraged and how Barnabas encouraged people. But Barnabas also encouraged the disciples to allow this person who was a little bit different from them to join the group. Because Barnabas understood that the love of God is for all people. Not just people who have a similar view, but have to be able to love people even if we're a little bit worried about them or we're afraid of them. It was kind of a risky thing for him to do. But what would it be like for us to encourage people who are a little different from us? It's easy to encourage people that are similar to us, right? It's easy to encourage your friends and people that you enjoy hanging out with. And it's a little bit harder to encourage people who are a little bit different from us, or we're not sure of them, or we're afraid of them. But God's message of love tells us that there shouldn't be anything that stands in the way of helping to spread love and encouragement and kindness to everybody. Everybody deserves a chance to feel encouraged and loved. Just like Barnabas helped the disciples to welcome Paul into their group and encourage them to do that, we can do the same thing for people. So think about that. That's what your challenge is for this week. When you have felt encouraged, and that was such a good feeling, oh yeah, you can also do that for other people. Think about Barnabas this week and how you can encourage other people.